Tinti, they two had a good battle at Suzuka. They'll be starting on the front row. Behind that is Zuba, Bastamaki and Trainot, who's been very impressive. Labati just behind there. Lahad is also impressed as well. And in the GTE's very high quality field today, Ross Balfour starting in pole position, Florian Dinard in second. There's Antti Terho, Euro Toivonen and Valtteri Alander rounding out the top 5. We're just approaching the final few corners now for these drivers in the LMP1 field. Of course, they will be the first to get away. Of course, we're expecting a lot of action in this field. Should be a great hour of racing here. Interlagos as the race car just rounds turn 13 now. As Mike Nürnberg will just go past the pits now. Pace car pulls in. We are about to get underway here at Interlagos. And away we go. Nürnberg gets a really good start and he should be well clear of the rest of the field. I think Yakubi has managed to hold off Faber, who's actually got ahead of Anja right at the start. In the HPDs, Neil Andrew still leading the way. They're pretty close between each other, the two prototype classes. It's Robert Tinti still in second place and Peter Zuber having a bit of a poor start, dropping down into 5th, and Ross Balfour still leading the way in the GTEs. Florian Dinard and Antti Terho just going a little bit side by side here, going into turn 4. I think Dinard's going to just about lose out there in his Ferrari, number 6 car straight on the inside, and now come back to Terho.
I just wanted to say Dominic Farbar's having a lot of issues. Looks like he went off track and got caught up in another.
Yeah, terrible start for Dominic Farber then, so he may well be out of the running after such a good qualifying, of course.
Oh my, yeah, I'm looking back at the replay, and the 16 of Cy Andrea got involved with Dominic Farber and went on a wild toad ride there for Farber, and I'm guessing he has too much damage because it looks like he's in the pits and looks like his day's already.
Yeah, really disappointing to see. That would have been really interesting to see how he could do in that field. But still out in the lead in that LMP1 field is Mike Nürnberg, and he's just about pulling away at the moment. And yeah, just making himself a small little gap against Ismail Yakubi. Good start for Yakubi, holding off Farah, who's just dropped back a little bit from these guys, already spreading out that field quite a bit. In P2s, Neil Andrew still just about leading the way. Of course, Tinti really managed to put the pressure on him as Suzuka managed to get the upper hand in the pit stops. And of course, he's looking to line that up again. Vastamaki actually doing pretty well to stay up with these guys. It's very competitive. And Labati, surprisingly, Tyler, just falling back. The 3rd and 4th drivers just starting to edge away from one another.
Go ahead. Labati's not doing too bad right now. He's hanging in there, having a great fight as well. You still hear me? Alright. I don't know what happened. Let me see. I don't know what's happening here with Sam.
Balfour just about leading the way in the GTE still. Florian Dinard coming under a bit of pressure now from Euro Toivonen. Tominen just running wide at the turn 4 there. And yeah, it's all kind of just sets things down at the moment between these guys. Not necessarily the easiest track to overtake. Of course, you really got to try to work that. Of course, bending against your opponent can be surprisingly easy around this track, despite being quite a wide one. I think we just managed to resolve the issues that we were having previously, so apologies for that. Syandra now trying to put some pressure on. Is he trying to just take back that position against the number 5? So Matt Power trying to make the move past Syandra. Andrew managed to get past on the last lap, and now he has been able to consolidate on that one. So Andrew, after being so strong in the last couple of rounds, scoring some good results. Barry just dropping down in that TBR car. Into 4th place, but these guys are already 5 seconds off the lead. Mike Nuremberg doing a great job.
I'll be right back for myself because I'm gonna figure out what's going on with my cameras, because apparently the cameras from me is in scenic view.
We'll just be back with Tyler in a second. Ryan Perkins trying to put some pressure on Fraser Williamson and Stander saying now. Odd to see Fraser just struggling out there, hasn't got that much experience in this car. Because has kind of dabbled in all 3 of these cars over the past few seasons. Was very competitive in the HPD, I believe, preparing for the Sports Car Open. And I was also being competitive in the GTEs as well, but it's just struggling at the moment in 7th place, but it is ever so close. The top zone separated by 10 seconds currently. Really good to see out there. I think we've got a battle involving, Vastamaki and Tinsley. So Vastamaki putting some pressure on the championship leader now. Tinsley has been so impressive in that number 9 car, but around this part of the circuit, it's ever so difficult to keep up. And if we could just go on board for a few moments, because you'll see around these long corners, it's really difficult with the aero wake affecting the front of your car, of course. And it's quite a few long corners, particularly this one. And yeah, just washing out ever so slightly around this part of the circuit. Of course, it's almost impossible to overtake in any car. But Vastamaki doing a pretty good job. You want to stay on the inside, ideally, of your opponent. And the tunnel air won't affect you quite so much. And you know what? He stayed pretty close. And you can see he's really taking a few early apexes. And Vastamaki is looking like a much faster driver right now than Robert Tinsley, as the LMP wants to just fly past that. Now, as he got the straight line speed, a little bit of an issue there. Was that on the just on the brakes? I think there for Robert Tinsley, you could see the brake lights lighting up, and there goes Robert Tinsley up into 2nd place. Unusual. Up goes Vastamaki up into 2nd place. Tinsley down to 3rd, and it was unusual to see that occur. Maybe he's going to try to follow his opponent now.
Yeah, I honestly was, when I was looking at it, I was almost thinking that it was maybe he wants to try to save some fuel a little bit here as well. So it would be interesting, especially as we're looking on board.
All of a sudden, Ross Balfour under big pressure. Here comes Antti Terho round the outside. He's going to have the inside for the 2nd part of the Turner S. And that's decent defense there from Balfour. Just getting a little bit on the curb, unsettling the car ever so slightly. And he's got the inside line this time against Terho. Maybe Terho has a little bit more straight line speed. He's just pulling ahead as the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari driver nearly dropped down into 3rd in the first few corners. How things have changed for him. But you know what? That is really good defense there from Ross Balfour. It looked as though he was quite comfortable, but really came under pressure on that last lap. Dropped about 0.4 of a second. And still Terho isn't giving up. In the GTs, we might see some overtakes in this part of the circuit. But, well, Balfour is just about held on. Now, this is going to be a 4-way battle for the race lead.
Yeah, and especially with this track in general, I honestly think especially if you're like a regular racer and you think that, especially for a track like this, having a long straightaway, that you need to have low downforce. Honestly, in my opinion, I would want to say you're wrong on that. Um, Whenever I was running these cars, not the new GTE cars, because at the time when I was from last season I wasn't running GTE cars. HPDs, I would almost want to say mainly would be running a medium downforce to where that inside section with Interlagos is going to be real key. So if you can be able to maximize the turns and be able to get the best speed in the turns, you'll lose very little when it comes to the long straightaways. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these setups are medium downforce to help with the inside portions of this track.
Here comes Terho once again on Balfour. He's going to go to the outside, but he's under so much pressure as well. Ooh. From Toivonen just behind. Terho is going to just about be shoved off as he was in turn 1. Now they're all scattered across the circuit. Terho again should have the ideal line, and from attack to defense for Toivonen, he now may lose out to Dinard as the LMP1s also come through. Maybe a little bit of contact between second and third, just having to back out of it. There was fourth place, we've got a HPD off the circuit as well. It's all going on here on lap 7 of this race. Well, 7 and 8 of course for LMP1s, and yeah, insanely no changes of positions for these GTEs. It's ever so difficult around this narrow part of the circuit, at least for these LMP1s.
Yeah, and oh, look at that. Was unbelievable pass there for that LMP.
Yeah, Toivonen nearly kept his nose in there. Could have been calamity if he hadn't have backed up at the last moment. And he's kind of lost a little bit of touch with the top 2 now. Dinard is going to be pretty close to him as the top 2 once again go at the batsman. Maybe Terho's best chance of getting this move done is going to be by utilising the traffic, but what's adamant is that Ross Balfour is not going to get a moment to breathe in this race because he's been suffocated now for the past few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way this race is going, it's been really good. I mean, you've got Russ Balfour and NC Taro fighting it out. Then you also have Eric Taminen and Florin Dinard. All 4 very quick drivers in their own right. So it's going to be, I think we're going to be having to keep an eye on this one the entire hour.
Definitely, we will just draw our eyes away from it just for a second, because I think there's Matt Farrow just has got past Ismail Yakubu out there in the LMP1 class. That's for second place, still quite close actually between second and third and fourth. So actually Farrow's managed to get past Anja and Yakubu. Expect those 2 to retaliate, of course, and we might even see some retaliation right now from Yakubu, but just dropping back a little bit now. And of course, you trying to use some switching, trying to save some battery power maybe for the end of the lap. And this is how it happened for Matt Farrow, and just deployed a bit more energy, and well, that's how the majority of the overtaking is done in these LMP1s, and it was very simple for him moving up into second place.
Yep, great pass there by Farrow, and it's just unbelievable seeing how quickly Mike Nurnberg has pulled away from Farrow and Nyekaba and Syandria. And it'll be interesting because if these guys keep fighting it out, Mike Nurnberg's going to be pulling away from this very easily.
Well, he's already 10 seconds ahead, so you'd be hard-pushed not to give him almost a certain win, unless, of course, he is involved in an incident, which we do see so often in this series. A lot of aggressive driving, only an hour long. Some of these drivers used to 6 hours, even, of course, 24-hour races for the Le Mans 24. So this is very much a sprint for these guys, so they might take a few more risks with the overtaking, but it's looking very good. Currently for Mike Nurnberg. So we might even see some overtaking going into turn 1. Farrow having to go defensive again against Yakubu's a little bit offline, and that's going to compromise his entry to the second part of the turn race, and now through turn 3. Of course, the infamous corner back in 2003, which Involves so many cars in that F1 race. And trying to go down the inside here for the podium. Cyandra up into third place. There's contact between two of them. And Andra is round just a little bit slow out of the corner. And Yakubi tagged him round.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of a good aggressive move there, but just that was kind of, it was in between with how Yakuba didn't really slow up in time, and yeah, that's really unfortunate for Cyandra.
Yeah, Yakubi just maybe could have left a little bit more space. Of course, it's not going to be advantageous for him. Well, in the short term it is. He's up still in third position, but in the long term that may have caused some damage. And of course we have concern for Cyandra. He was having such a good run. I'll say he could finish in second place, but down into ninth, and with the competitiveness of this LMP1 class today, he might struggle to get back into the top 5 by the end of the race. Better go back to Neil Andrews, of course. A driver who hasn't had necessarily the best season. Had a good chat with him last week. Can't remember if he said that he enjoyed Interlagos, but it's certainly looking like he does, because he's got a 3.5 second gap over Yunus Vastamaki currently, or Tinsey in third position still, and Labartzi in fourth, Trainer fifth, and Benedict so in sixth place. Zuber in seventh and Howard in eighth. What to see Pete Howard at the back of that HPD class. Once again, it's good to see this season. I'd say, Tyler, the quality has really improved. We see this consistently season after season, that as the weeks go by, a lot more top drivers are attracted to this series.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very impressed with this as well, and I'm kind of shocked seeing how well. I mean, honestly, right now, with even looking at the gaps for the GTE field, I think this has been one of the closest races so far right now throughout the season that we've watched. I mean, the top. I mean, I want to say, heck, maybe the top 8 or 9 cars in the GTE field have an opportunity to win this. I mean, the HPD field has been really close as well. I mean, Neil Andrews being up top. Granted, we don't see Johan Harth in the race today, but Neil Andrews up there leading. We've got Yunus Vastamaki trying to make an opportunity. It's going to be some great racing, especially if this keeps up for the next 40 minutes.
Still no changes of position in this battle. It's just such a weird one, this. You'd expect it to be pretty much impossible to overtake, and impossible to defend. And yeah, anyone who's got much experience around here will find that if you just put your car on the inside of the circuit, there's not a whole lot the opponent can do. Of course, that's what Antojo will be trying to prove wrong, because he's trying to desperately make the move once again. It's Ford versus Ferrari, and squeezing him right to the inside wall now is Antojo. There's contact between them there, going into turn 1, and Toho might just have the best line. He's on the outside as the #1 driver, side by side once again. So far in this race, it's been all the way to Ross Balfour, and it looks as though he may just prevail again. Now we've got 2 by 2 going into turn 4. There's absolutely nothing being given amongst these drivers at the moment. Just swapping to the inside there was Florian Dinard. He's done really well there, I think, to move up into third position, but still Toho can't get it done. And still we've got side by side Dinard trying to make this move stick on Toivonen, as Toho once again goes for a move as they make contact, I think, for the third time in just a handful of corners, and just about pulling ahead is Ross Balfour. Almost a little bit of contact between the top 2 there, almost some contact between second and third, but finally Toivonen's got back ahead of Dinard, so still no concrete changes between these 4 despite being ever so close.
Yeah, this has just been unbelievable with the racing right now. I mean, I'm just looking at the gap now. It's from Ross Balfour to Flaja, more or less like Valtteri Andrea. Barely a second, but these guys are battling so hard. I mean, great racing. No one's made a mistake so far, and we've had some great overtakes. And see if Anti-Tero can be able to take an opportunity here coming into turn 1.
Here we go. I'm not sure which round this is, but we've got to be coming towards a knockout play eventually, because Santero is still behind. By the way, track temperature is swelteringly hot. 46 degrees track temperature, 28 air. So not much good for these drivers whatsoever. But Tinsley comes into the pits very early. Why would he be doing this?
I wonder if he's trying to see if he can take advantage and try to make a big undercut. As here comes Andrea as well, especially having pitting in early, going to try to take an opportunity to make up positions if possible, especially with that damage on the right rear that he got from that earlier incident.
Yeah, certainly makes sense for Anja. Tinsley, normal pit stop, I believe. I didn't get a pit stop time, unfortunately, but I think it was a normal one. Don't think it was a penalty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he'll be able
normal
to go
12
to the
second.
end.
Yeah, 12-second pit in, pit out. 12-second for pitting in the box.
So we'll wait to see if the championship leader can stay ahead. Look at this. Turn our eyes back towards it.
Goodness.
Absolute chaos currently going on. This is Antoine Cousin making his way through. Carlo used to beat the LMP1 right behind. And of course, it's pretty good. I remember when curves was a thing back around this, and they'd use pretty much 90% of the curves around this part of the track as we go 3 wide here.
4 wide.
4 wide even.
Wide.
Wow. Used to be, I think, was the one just storming through the middle. Oh, sorry, Cousin making back the move, going down the middle. What a move that was. We've got to get a replay of that from Antoine Cousin's perspective.
I honestly, if I was in this race, I'd probably be having a heart attack right now. My goodness.
Well, he was quite kind there, and then was having none of this, straight through the middle. A closing gap as well. Well done to Antoine Cousin.
Yeah, wow, and especially when you have the leader of the LMP2s of Neil Andrews in that mix as well, so that was, oh my goodness.
Somehow Andrews has managed to gain from this. He's now 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field.
I would be shocked right now, but man, that was interesting to say the least. Ooh, it's almost made a little bit of contact there with a 6. Yep, flashing his lights. Not a little happy with it, but kind of difficult, especially when you have all 3 class leaders coming around you at once, and especially with GTE class fighting with each other. Still a 6-car train. I mean, unbelievable.
Now, of course, this is going to happen a few times in this race. We're only 21 minutes in, so, well, basic maths, I guess, 2 more of these it is going to happen. As we see, once again, this battle still... Oh, in fact, Toyman... Toyman has managed to get ahead of Turho as we've got a LMP1 way off the circuit there, trying to make some progress. So yeah, Toyman has gone from, he went from 3rd to 4th to 2nd, and now he may be backed into 3rd. So nearly contact there. Turho putting his nose on the inside there and nearly came across it. Was Toyman. Turho looking to the inside again, but there's really no opportunity to outbrake your opponent into 6. And, still these 4 ever so close, and they've got Dinard and Allender still quite... Allender and Pilaja still relatively close behind.
We're looking now as we got an HPD car. I want to say that is Peter Zuba having a little bit of issues trying to get around, or it might be one of the other. Okay, it might not be Peter Zuba. It was an inertia car, so I'm not 100% sure which car it was, but trying to get around the field and getting around some of these lead lap cars, but it's gonna be very difficult, especially with the HPD cars trying to get around the GTE class.
Oh, here we go again. Dinard's trying to get past Turho from fighting for the lead. Gone quite negatively for him. That was good defense. Good backing off there from Dinard as the HPD came past. That was Alex Traynor, I think.
It was Carlos Labate, and then now here comes Alex Traynor now coming around now. Just still an unbelievable battle, though.
Ooh, almost looking to the inside there. So Dinard, sorry, Dinard trying to get the move onto Hope. I didn't realise actually, that's why I've been slightly confused, that Toivonen and Dinard are teammates. They got the same livery at least, so that's really going to confuse me to the end of the stage. And of course, the same car as well, so thanks for that, guys. As well, look at Pilaja and Heikkinen right onto the back of these guys as well.
Yeah, especially when we have multiple teams, so this is definitely going to be a big one. I believe the strength of field is biggest.
No changes this time, it seems. Fraser Williamson up into 4th position, I believe. Yes, from 10th on the grid. Did say earlier on how he was out of position, running in 9th position, I think, at the time. But look at this, he's really made his way through the field nicely. Still behind Ferry and, of course, Nürnberg and Yakubu. Only 5 seconds behind Yakubu, they could get a podium here. Good Fraser Williamson. What a great result that would be. Carlo used to be just dropping down Anton Kuzan, of course, who had that super tight moment earlier on with the traffic, running in 6th.
And it looks like Antoine Cousins just being very cautious as they are catching up to Carlos Ibisi and Fraser Williams. So it's 3-car battle still in the mix right now, and they just got to figure out a way to be able to catch up to the top 3 if they want any shot at podium. But still going to be a great battle overall.
Is Kuzan going to go for the move here? He might use the double tap just to play a little bit of energy here. I think he did try to do that. It might not get the move done. Running wide and onto the grass, in fact, and that's going to lose him a lot of time. Oh, they need rejoins to take a little bit unsafely. Used to be isn't out of this one yet. If he can deploy a little bit of energy himself down into turn 4, he might just have a chance, but he opts better of it, and will try to make that move later on.
And got around the lap car easily of, actually I can't even tell which lap car it was. It was the Ferrari behind Carlos. That was very clean pass and gives them now another opportunity to try to fight for this battle for, trying to fight for 4th if they can make the opportunity. Carlos Ibusi's taking his opportunity. He's still only a half a second behind Antoine Cousins. He looks like he's struggling a little bit, losing a little bit of gap to Fraser Williamson as well, so seems like the setup is starting to fall a little bit for the 23 of Cousins.
Yeah, he's just dropping down a little bit. Of course, Syandra already pitted. He is 26 seconds behind these drivers, so I'll have to keep an eye out on that one, see what his pace is, because he could still be in line for a podium by the end of this race after that spin earlier on. Still Neil Andrews leading by 5 seconds over Younes Bastabaki. With all the traffic going on, it's kind of spread out a little bit in this field. 5 seconds to Bastamaki, then 6 seconds back to Labati, who's having to fend off Trainor currently, and then another 6 seconds back to Benedy, who's having a battle with Zuba, and then Tinti, of course, who is already pitted. It's going to be somewhere in the middle of all of those drivers. We're not quite sure why he pitted quite so early. We think it was just a strategic move. Whether it'll be one that pulls off or not is another question altogether.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I mean, it looks like he's got some clean space, so he's been able to really push it out there. So, be interesting to see what happens, because I mean, Neil Andrews and all the rest of the cars in front of him are having issues with lap traffic. So, right now it could end up falling in Tinsley's hands once everyone else pits. So, will be very interesting to see what happens as the time winds down.
Just looking at the live timing, Toivonen is ever so close to Balfour. How well has Ross Balfour defended? I haven't seen him run wide at a corner yet. Quite incredible how he just doesn't seem to be the fastest driver by any means, getting a little bit of a slide on there. But he's staying resolute, and that Ford clearly is helping him to hold on to the lead right now.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like Antitero's having some issues as he's fallen fallen behind a little bit to these top 2 drivers. Probably just because of the traffic from the HPDs and LMP1s causing issues. Ooh, as looks like Arrow had a little bit of a wiggle there. Still hanging on. He is in the draft though, so he might take an opportunity to make a pass here coming to the start-finish line.
Here he goes. Will he go for the dummy hit? He wants to go to the inside. There is a concrete wall there, though, so no chance. And to the outside he goes again. But if you got the inside into this first corner, there's very little the opponent can do. Simon couldn't quite get his nose alongside the race leader there, so a normal racing line there for Balfour. But once again, the gap below 0.2 of a second is closer than it was on the last lap. Not much of a braking zone for this one though, as the LMP1 side just comes up behind them. And well, after this there's pretty much no opportunity for an overtake. Gonna have to line it up once again for turn 1, but this is what I was talking about earlier, how if you defend your line, there's very little the opponent can do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can keep that inside line, ooh, that's really close up to the bumper there. But yeah, no, if you can keep that inside line and keep the preferred line going through a lot of the inside section, you should be able to make a great opportunity in defending. Boy, just watch the camera from the diffuser here of Ross Balfour. Arrow's just so close up to the back end of Ross. There's a few times I thought there was going to be some contact. Great driving by both of them.
That is Bastamaki going past.
No, that's Tinsley.
Tinsley, sorry. Yeah. Oh, you think you've gone into this stage. You've only done a few weeks, and you already know all the drivers better than me. And oh dear. Well, of course, next week we're gonna have a slight change of plan because we've got the World F3 starting next week. So at least me and Tyler will be covering that, but we might still be covering this series. Michael Barbanir may well be taking you through the action. Not sure if it'll be a solo stream or a couple of commentators, but we will sure let you know on our Facebook page in the coming days and certainly in the next week.
And absolutely, it looked like Arrow's starting to get a little bit impatient because he was starting to look on trying to get around Ross Balfour a few times, looking on that inside. It's just doesn't have the momentum to make that pass cleanly, and almost looks as if Ross tries to make a move, it might end up being a dirty move pretty soon. But we'll see what happens here. Still got half of the race to go.
Could well be his best chance into one of these hairpins through the middle part of the circuit. It would be a lunge and it wouldn't be easy to do, but it's one of the few places where you can't defend. Ross Balfour wouldn't be able to defend. Well, these guys may well just start lining up behind each other. They have got about a 1.5 second gap to Antiterho. If they stop fighting, then they might be able to dominate this race. 3 wide there. That was Matt Farrow, I think, going through the middle. And still
that gave Arrow the opportunity as well.
Yeah, he's just pulled ahead across the line, and he's pulled ahead going into turn 1. Change of the lead for the GTEs for the first time today. Eero Toivonen leads here at Interlagos. He's ahead of Ross Balfour. Whether Balfour lets him have that one, I'm not quite sure. Took an unusual line through turn 13. Either way, it's the Porsche leading.
Yeah, that was a... I wonder if Ross went a little higher up just because of Matt Farrow and Isma Jakovic coming by like they were, because that definitely probably caught him off guard. But at the same time, it gives an opportunity for the number 1 of Antiterho and Florian Denard an opportunity to catch up. So the number 1 and number 6 cars still have an opportunity to have a good fight for the win now as well, as we probably will start getting close to pit stops pretty soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. GTE is probably... Well, the window will probably open in the next 10 minutes. At least from my experience, I don't know about you, Tyler, but I think the fuel usually goes quite far around here. I remember doing a DP race, and it was one of the least high consumption circuits. I'm not sure if that's correct. Of course, that middle part of the circuit, you're basically using 0 fuel. Down here, it's super flat out.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say it's probably within the next 10 minutes, about 45-minute mark, maybe even 40. Is there goes to 26 trying to get around. I couldn't see the number in time. Looks like probably that was Antitero there as one of the LMP1s was trying to get around. But only right now, even with Florian, looking at Florian Dedar right now, he's only 3 seconds behind Arrow, as the gap does start closing up again when the HPDs and the LMP1s get around the GTE field. So that gap should start closing up again as these lead lap cars get around them.
Valtteri Allander's dropped down considerably. Not sure what happened to him. Yeah, but was running in about 4th place. Don't think he's pitted yet. So very unusual for
and
Allander.
Peter Zuba. Oh, there was a crash. Oh, uh-oh. Let's see what happened here. Valtteri just having issues, it looks like, and made a really unfortunate error there.
Yeah, so he's quite far down, but you can see not too much damage on that car. So should still be competitive to the end, but he's lost so many positions. We haven't really given fair dues to all the GTE cars. I don't know if we could just go through all of them basically in kind of position order. Of course, we've seen Toivonen, Balfour, Terhe, Dinard, and Pelagia quite a bit, but of course you've got Heikkinen, Deck, Antonov, Dyer, Josh Thompson, of course, who started last in this race. Saime Lepinen, Valtteri Allander, Andres Lanza, and Matthias Wittkainen, and of course the other drivers as well out there.
Yeah.
And they were having fantastic battles as well, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to give an update. Peter Zuba and Pete Harrod for the LMP2s came into the pits. My live timing is telling me that Eunice pitted, but I don't know if that's true or not. But out of the cars that have pitted, Robert Tinsey is going to be right now leading that group right now of the cars that have pitted.
Yeah, I think Bastamaki has pitted. I think he's still ahead of Tinsey. Yes, he is 4 seconds ahead of Tinsey, so quite a small gap. That was too fair. That was kind of what it was beforehand. And yeah, so he hasn't really benefited too much there as Tinsey. Still a long way ahead of Peter Zuba and Pete Howard. Well, that's confusing, isn't it? That's very unnecessary from those guys. And of course, Benedy, Chainot, and Labazzi, and of course Neil Andrews haven't pitted. But of course, when Andrews pits, almost certain he will still be in the lead because he's dominating at the moment, 11 seconds ahead of Carlo Labazzi, and well, expect him certainly in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. The battle might be going on for second in LMP. I mean, not in LMP1. In the HPDs, because Carlo Labazzi is only ahead of Alex Trainer by 1.5 seconds. Well, actually, scratch that. Make that a little less than a second now, as Trainer's closing in on the back bumper. So this battle could be really reaching on, and this will give Neil Andrews even more opportunity to pull away from the Carlos Labazzi and Alex Trainer.
Yeah, Trainer, relatively, well, certainly in this split, he kind of only joined this season. Haven't seen him in the past couple of seasons, but has been a very consistent driver. Always thereabouts on the podium, and thereabouts on the podium, sorry. And, well, it's looking possible for him at the moment, but if he's going to get it, he's got to pass Labazzi, and when he pits, he's going to have to jump Robert Tinsey as well. So it's looking like a difficult task for the HPD driver, but he is doing a decent job at the moment. Zuba and Benedy go side by side. Benedy just into the pits, and Zuba off the circuit. Benedy, well, takes that place.
And he got shoved off there a little bit, but boy, I don't think Zuba's going to appreciate that.
Andrew's in.
Yep, Andrew's in, and then I'll have to keep an eye on Carlos Labate. It looks like they both stay out. Labate's staying out. Trainer is staying out as well. So be very interesting to see what happens here. As the Trainer is now only 2 seconds, so it looks like he got caught up in a little bit of traffic trying to catch up to Carlos Labate. So lost about a second there, but he still has an opportunity to make it back up.
Yeah, but on this lap, of course, he'll have a relatively clean run, I think, as Andrews comes out. Shows how competitive Andrews is when he comes out of the pits pretty much within about 10 seconds of Alex Trainer. And he is 5 seconds ahead of Bastamaki. So that gap hasn't increased massively, but the driver who I don't think has won one of these races all season, not the broadcast race that we do across on Apex Racing TV, well on course for a victory today, and it would be against a very high quality opposition. Would be very pleased with that one. Of course, him and Alex Trainer are of course teammates, aren't they? They are MOATF, Motor podcast team. Nürnberg in. LMP1 leader, absolutely dominating so far, was 16 seconds ahead of Matt Ferry. Matt Ferry, who of course has, I think, won last season's title. I'm not quite sure on fighting for this season's title. Well, he has been outclassed today by Mike Nürnberg. And also into the pits is Yakubu. He was putting on some pressure on Matt Ferry, so this pit stop is very important for second place in the race. I think probably just worth an update on the GTEs, because Jure Toivonen, after making that move on Ross Balfour, he's checked out. Look at that. He's got a 3-second lead. On that last lap, he was, well, quarter of a second faster, so not much faster. He is well on course right now for this race victory. The driver who was running in third place for much of the opening stages. He's, 3 seconds ahead of Ross Balfour now. Anthony Terhei putting some pressure on Balfour, but how his race could have been different if he had been able to pass Balfour earlier on. He's not giving up on it though, the Ferrari. Well, he tries to do a little bit of a surprise attack going into turn 1 now. He's very happy to stay behind, maybe looking to get that overcuts on his rival.
Yeah, and hopefully with that, he might have an opportunity. But at the same time, Florian Dennard is coming up, closing in, and they got to figure out a way if they want to catch up to Arrow, because Arrow's just pulling away. 4.5 second gap to Arrow now is the number 2, 1, and 6 cars. All trying to catch up to that lead.
Of course, expect Terhei to probably go the furthest out of these guys. Balfour isn't going to go very far. He's pretty much had no slipstream for this entire stint. And I think the Ford has marginally higher fuel consumption. The Ford has a 96-litre tank, I think, compared to the Ferrari 90-litre. But I'm pretty sure the Ferrari can usually go, well, about the same distance. So it uses slightly less litres per lap. And so expect certainly Terhei to go 1 lap further, maybe even 2 laps further. And that could be very decisive, depending, of course, on the traffic.
Yeah, it definitely is. You can see that gap dwindling down. Waiting to see. No one's pitting yet, so still a lot going on. Is just saw Matt Farrow in the background, further ahead of these guys, getting ready to get around the leader of the GTE class again. So definitely. Ooh, contact. Oh, look out! Oh, here they come, coming in the pits. Alex Trainer and I believe that was Carlos Labate. Boy, oh boy, that was some stuff there.
We'll have to get a replay of that in a moment, because they were going side by side. That was a change for position. Labate losing out.
Oh, that was an LMP1 that hit. Wow.
You would think entering the pits so late there from Trainer is going to surely force him to stay in the pits for longer. They've had long pit stops there, 21 seconds each. compared to the 12 seconds of Robert Tinsley, and I do wonder whether they were both given unsafe pit entries, and well, it's lost them out a lot of time. Now, compared to the other drivers, oh sorry, same pit stop length as the other driver, so I was completely wrong there. So it was safe. Well, it wasn't safe, but it was deemed to be safe at least. And Trainer back behind Labate then. So despite entering the pits ahead, he had a 6/10 longer pit stop, and he's going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing too, with how coming into the pits was how that all played out. That just gave Robert Tinsley 5-second gap to both Alex Trainer and Carlos Labate. So Tinsley was on the move and took good advantage of it, as well as Basamaki as well.
Yes, so Tinsley should have a pretty easy P3 now, as you say. And now it's just about going to be Labate versus Trainer. You do usually find each other on the similar piece of circuit. Yeah, going to have to set out for. Certainly seems as though Trainer has the pace advantage, but he doesn't have track position, of course. So, well, it'd be difficult to overtake if we've learned anything from today. This one keeps on raging on. Benedict versus Howard. In fact, Benedict, I think, has just dropped off in the last couple of laps. Had 0.3 of a second behind, of course, a BSR regular. Seen him plenty around on Apex Racing TV. I'm sure if you've raced against him, Tyler, have you?
Yeah, I've raced with him a few times in the BSR series. Pretty decent driver, especially on for Team Mad. So they've been a really good team overall. Still got a lot of improvements for them, but they'll be a pretty strong contender in the next few months or years.
They sure will be. Of course, running in the Neo Endurance Series are Team Mad. That is the reason why Pete Had is driving out there. Getting some practice for the P2 car as he's down the inside here, waiting for kind of a move around this part of the circuit. We really haven't seen any kind of major ambition from these drivers to get the moves done in this part of the circuit. As we see, once again, it seems to always be Matt Barry making his way through. And, well, it doesn't benefit Pete Howard currently.
No, not much, but he is still in the draft. Took a little bit more, got on the brakes a little more there, but just didn't get the best run out of there, even with Charles having a little bit of a slide there coming out of the corner. So advantage Charles Bendy there. And there goes Matt Farrow into the pit.
Yeah, so where is Farrow going to be in comparison to it used to be? This could be quite close or very anticlimactic. Here comes Carlo used to be. Oh, it's very anticlimactic. That's the answer.
Oh no, he had a. Looks like he overshot the pits just as we got to him. Wow, that's really unfortunate there.
I think he may have got a penalty as well. Let's see if he was over the speed limit.
Oh.
I don't think he was. No. So or was it a normal pit stop?
Overshot. It was a normal pit stop. Looks like he just went and, yep, overshot it. Really unfortunate there.
Still really long for Matt Barry. 18 seconds compared to Yakubi. 6 seconds. Sorry, he's still ahead of Yakubi. And Yusubi hasn't pitted. Apologies, I got all confused there between Yusubi and Yakubi. So Farrow's still ahead of Yakubi then. Okay, that makes more sense. Yusubi is yet to pit. He will most likely come out in 4th place behind these two. And Yakubi losing so much time through turn 11, and that's not helping him at all. And now it's Cyandra. These two came to blows earlier on, round 2.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Cyandra is going to be very aggressive on him, and yeah, here we go. He's going to make him pay for it. Just easily around the inside and takes over 3rd. And Carlo Yusubi is in the pits as well.
Yeah, he's bit by himself, I think. Whereas Fraser Williamson, he is about 7 seconds behind. 6 seconds behind. Could Fraser make up that time? I doubt it. I think it's going to be pretty dull for these guys till the end of the race. You can just see Stander Sane out behind. About 2 seconds behind, so maybe a battle between those two, but it's kind of calmed down amongst those drivers. What we've got to watch out for now is kind of if Andrea can catch up to Farrow. Remember, Andrea was facing the wrong way about 30 minutes ago. How well has he recovered? Still only being 20 seconds off the race lead. Really a driver who has improved in the past couple of weeks in this LMP1 car. Undoubtedly gained some setup knowledge, and he is making some very good use of it. And well, looks with 10 minutes to go, 4 seconds to catch. Not going to be easy, but it's possible for him.
Yeah, they're looking to try to pull away from Yakubi, and it looks like you will, even though it's only gap right now is 0.4 of a second, but it just looks like Yakubi just does not have enough experience in the car to be able to try to keep up with Andrea, because as they come into the more tighter sections of the track, Andrea just has the bigger advantages pulling away.
Something's going on right now with Mike Nürnberg. I was wondering why the gap wasn't extending like it was before. Just looking at his recent lap times then. Was in the 18s. He did a 21 on the last lap, but I think that was a one-off. Apart from that, he's been in the 19s. So not too bad for him. And maybe this is where he had a little bit of an off. Question is, did he pick up any damage from it? One running off the circuit there. But no, not too much time lost, so must have just been, I think, getting caught up behind some traffic. We'll keep an eye on that one as he just approaches the line now. This will reveal all. It was a 19, so he's absolutely fine. No worries for everyone. Mike Nürnberg still 14 seconds out to the lead. I was a little bit concerned there. He'd picked up some damage and was starting to lose about 3 seconds a lap.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be catching up to some other lap traffic pretty soon. Especially Tim Matsky, I want to say that's Matsky, or because he's the probably would be the first LMP1 car lap down, as Nürburgring is just running a lot better times compared to him. As wow, that was scary. That was scary there for a second. Looking on the onboard now. Being nice and calm, just taking his time right now. Caught up to Ross Balfour and Anti-Terra, who are still fighting it out. Arrow is now in the pits for the GTE classes. We've been missing all of the pits for a GTE, I just noticed, as everyone's already been in the pits now. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah, and probably the most significant change, Anti-Terra has finally got ahead of Ross Balfour.
There goes Jason Dwyer into the pits.
So where is Toivonen in comparison to Terhe? That's the big one.
Just
he
coming
should
out
be
now.
Way ahead, really. He was about 4 seconds ahead.
He's just at pit exit now.
Yeah, he's 5 seconds ahead still. So no issues for Eero Toivonen. Had a... I think they all had quite even pit stops there. So yeah, Terhe now ahead of Balfour. That's the big change. Dinard still relatively close in 4th. Pelagia hanging on to 5th and Heikkinen in 6th. Marcus Deck as well in 7th place. We really haven't spoken about Marcus Deck. It's because he's just been too solid. Have some spins or something and then you'll get on the camera a bit more, Marcus. Well, this is an opportunity for recognition because he often does this, does Marcus. Kind of in the midfield, best of the rest. And rightly so, we're giving the 38 some airtime right now. He's coming under some pressure from Josh Thompson. Only 2.8 seconds between those two drivers, but he should be okay to the end of the race. And it should still be some good, solid points for the Porsche driver.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, as we have some more lockup there right behind him. He's got... Oh, there we go. This is going to get interesting. We have 28 of Carlos used to be in. Looks like Fraser Williams, or actually, no, that is... Okay, it was just actually there is another HPD that caught me off guard there, so definitely was in the interesting situation there was Marcus Deck. As it was Charles Alvarez Bendy and Pete Harry still going at it right now.
Yeah, Howard really struggling to make the moves. I think I've already said this before, but Howard, of course, very experienced in all types of cars, V8 supercars. He jumped into a round actually last season in the Euro V8 supercars, which, of course, round 2 of that is on this Saturday evening, but was very competitive straight away, so he knows how to adapt to cars. Because he's got quite a bit of experience in this HPD. Of course, Neo just ran around this circuit earlier on in the season, so he's got plenty of experience, but still struggling a little bit today. Of course, as I said earlier on, a very high-quality HPD field. As Howard looks to the inside now, is this his best chance? Almost contact. Ooh. I think there was contact between the two of them. Pete Howard moves up a position, though. He finally gets the move done on Benidi.
I don't think it was contact, right? I almost, yeah, I don't think it was contact. It was Charles just struggling with the tires, and he just missed the braking point completely. Clean pass by Pete Harrod there. Great job by Pete on that overtake, taking advantage of Bendy's mistake.
Yeah, he's already built up a 9/10 of a second gap. Good job from Pete Harrod. 1 position gains. Not going to catch up to Zuber, unfortunately, but still. We'll be pleased to finally get that one done. As we see side by side, Dinard trying to get past Balfour. Remember, Balfour led for pretty much half this race, maybe even the majority of this race. How things have turned for him. He's now trying to hold on to just a podium. Was overtaken by Toivonen. Terho got him in the pits, and now Dinard is going to try to get him into turn 4. A relatively normal line there from Dinard. Almost cutting off the Porsche's nose, and well, still no changes. Terho still only a second ahead of these guys, so if Dinard can really get on with it, get this move done for 3rd, he might even be able to catch up to Terho.
Yeah, strategy's going to be a big key here for Dinard. He's gotta find the best way to get around Balfour, as there's a little 4 minutes to go in the race, so it's time's winding down. Probably only another, I want to say, 2 laps left in this race. So 2 or 3 laps left in this race, I should say. So definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Balfour really out of position there, and we almost go through wide. We are going to go through wide because we've got a LMP1 just going down the inside there. Avoid any contact, fortunately, and Balfour loses out again. He's going to try to retaliate straight away. He's the one who's been defending so well down into this turn 1 so far, but it hasn't really helped him. So he's down into 4th place. He will try to go round the outside wall, the Ford driver, trying to get the cut back now. Looking to get the move done in turn 4, but he doesn't quite get the exit. The rear end of that Ford hasn't looked too stable through this event, and I think he has resigned to falling off the podium now.
Absolutely. Oh, this is going to get interesting. Pete Harrod trying, oh boy, that was close. Trying to be cautious there, as we're looking at the onboard replay of Florian Dinard having issues. Back line now. Ooh, there goes the mistake there by Ross Balfour. Florian just taking an opportunity and getting around.
It's odd how often we've seen Balfour seemingly with that rear end just sliding about. I don't know if he's trying to run some less wing, but well, you know, I'm certainly not an expert at all. You know, compared to Ross, I have no doubt he's significantly faster than me, but maybe just better to stabilise that rear end, because maybe just getting caught up by the high temperatures. Of course, so little grip out there. Track temperature going down to 41 degrees Celsius, but that is still super hot and super difficult to control the car.
Yeah, they're looking on the inside now.
Ooh, how? Oh, who's that just spun ahead? Neil? No, that's not Neil Andrews, is it? Surely not. No, Peter Zuber. Sorry, I saw Andrews falling down the screen. I was thinking, wow, on the earth has he lost that amount of time? Peter Zuber, though, has had a spin. and all of a sudden, the battle for 6th place there, 6th, 7th and 8th, really open up. And I think it was a self-spin as well. It's going to heat up those tyres a lot. Going to be a difficult few laps for him. As Benedy gets back past Harrod. Through the mid part of the circuit, there goes Harrod. Loses out once again, so worked so hard to get that move done earlier on. But has lost out as the leaders, are they on the last lap? We've got 45 seconds to go. Ooh, this is going to be tight. No, Nürburgring should just about force us another lap, I think.
Yeah, it should be one. Yeah, actually, it might be the final. This might be final lap because. Oh, actually, it might be close. You're right. Right now, there's about 20 seconds to go, and Nürburgring is right now 3/4 of a lap.
Well, if he cruises across the line here, he won't force another lap. I think this is going to be the last one, and here it is.
Yep.
Mike Nürburgring, domination in the LMP1 field. He is your race winner tonight at Interlagos. That was absolute dominant. 12 seconds ahead, he cruised for the second half of the race. Neil Andrews is going to win in the HPDs, back to the top step of the podium for him, and rightly so. The Motar driver is delighted with that. And Eero Toivonen still got a while to go on this lap, so the number 13 driver, unlucky for some, not for others though. Hasn't been unlucky for him because he has pulled off a perfect day. Didn't qualify on pole position, of course, qualified I believe in 3rd in GTEs, but got ahead of Antti Terho, and then of course pulled off the crucial move on Ross Balfour, and since then it's been domination from him as well. 6 seconds clear, which is not something we would have expected with the way the first half of the race went. So he has checked out. The number 13 driver, the Porsche driver, Eero Toivonen, wins the GTE class at Interlagos. Well, I must say, out of the races that we've covered this season, I think that's one of the best. It was so competitive in particularly those GTEs. That first half of the race was frantic. We didn't know where to look next. And the multi-class effect as well, going around turn 13 and across the pit straight. Crazy to see 3 wide, 4 wide often down there.
Yeah, definitely. It was great battling overall. Gaps were a lot closer compared to before. So, very impressive overall for the whole entire field that was in top split for this race this week. So, great racing overall by everyone.
Hopefully, we'll get some interviews in the next few minutes. But first, before that, the results. Mike Nürburgring, as we've already talked about, winning the race. He was 3 seconds over the hour, so it was genuinely close. But just missed out on the extra lap. I'm sure he will not care one bit. Matt Farrow finishes in 2nd place. Decent performance from him. Andrew, you wonder what could have happened for him. Had that spin, could have well finished in 2nd place if it weren't for that. Still great recovery. Joe Ismail Yakubu was very competitive in 4th. Carlo Yusufi, a little bit of a quiet 5th, but was only 22 seconds off the lead. Well done to him. Fraser Williamson in 6th. Then it was Stander, Saynal, Ryan Parkins, and Tim Matsk, I think. And the retirees were Antoine Cousin and Dominic Faber, the most notable one. Could he have fought for the race win? I guess we will never know. In the P2s, Neil Andrews dominated. Really well done to him, back on the top step of the rostrum. Yunus Vastamaki was a strong 2nd. Robert Tinsley, championship leader, in 3rd. Alex Traynor in 4th. There's Carlo Labarti, a little bit of a quiet 5th. Those two, Traynor and Labarti, had a very good battle. Then behind that was Zuba, Benedy and Harrod. And Dendelot was the only retiree in that class. In the GTEs, Eero Toivonen started 3rd. He even started 4th. Apologies, finished 1st. that's what counts. And Terho was in second. Then it was Florian Dienard. Ross Balfour will be disappointed with that after leading for the first half of the race. Was unlucky to drop down some positions in the closing stages. Antti Pelagia was a very quiet but very successful fifth. So too for Jone Heikkinen and Marcus Deck. Josh Thompson had to rise himself from pretty much last on the grid to whatever position that is. I'm not quite sure. I think it's about 7th place. Then it's Jason Dye, Valtteri Alander, who dropped down early on. Simo Lepinen, Andres Lanza, Jan Strange, Joseba Rodriguez, Dennis Neidhart, Antoine Gourvant, Tamas Buzas, Matej Vitkainen, Kirill Antonov rounding out the GTEs. He was actually the pretty much the only retiree. Vitkainen as well was a few laps down. Interviews. Do we have anyone waiting for us? We do. Very good to see. Who are we going to get an interview with? Well, we've got to get an interview with Neil Andrews, of course, our P2 race victor. Well done, Neil. You was absolutely flying out there. Had seemingly about a quarter of a second on everyone else on circuit. Really well done.
Well, thanks very much. I don't think I was flying per se. I think second place was slowly gaining on me at the end. I kept looking at my relative and just seeing the gap slowly coming down. So it got quite worrying at the end. Did take a little bit too much fuel, but yeah, it was a good race.
We saw all kinds of multi-class action out there, 4 wide at times through turn 13. Were you trying to hold back at all? Were you being quite conservative, or were you being quite ambitious? What was your mentality towards that?
100% no, cautious. I mean, you've got to do in multi-class. I mean, you can't just bonsai into the corners and hope that the car that you're, trying to overtake realizes or understands exactly what you're doing. So I was being extremely cautious. There was a couple of times I had to, just make a little bit more of a risky move, not risky per se, but just, maybe brake a little bit later to push up past the GTE, but not putting anybody into trouble, because they're racing their race as well. And I was also concerned, watching out for the LMP1s, making sure that I gave them exactly the room that they needed, and they understood where I was. So yeah, by doing that, you can lose a little bit of time, but you do in the end finish the race. So that's the main thing, finishing the race.
Yeah, definitely. And have you got experience around this circuit? Are you taking part in like SCO or NIE? Because you seemed absolutely flying around here compared to a lot of drivers who have got a lot of experience from NIE and such around this track.
No, 100%. I mean, Luxim 24, the MO80 podcast team, we enter the Neo. We were here a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, we had the experience the same as last week. We had the experience around Suzuka. So yes, we have the experience on this track. So did Robert Tinsley, and so did the guy behind me, I think. So yeah, it was good. It was good fun. It was really good fun. I love racing all that. Don't know where Johan Half was, so shout out to him. Hope he's all right.
Yeah, it would have been great to see him out there today. Hopefully we'll be back next week. What are your aims for this series? Are you looking to finally get that title? Because you've come really close the past couple of seasons. It's been great to see you and Johan in particular battle it out. I think you finished second for the past 2 seasons, if I'm right. So, third time lucky?
I've already grabbed one championship. The first championship the ILMS started. I managed to grab the main championship as well as the endurance win as well on the championship there. And then the last 2 seasons, yes, I've just been nipped to the post. I think I got third last season with Pascal Stix and Johan Half, and the season before that second. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not holding out any hopes. I mean, I'll take the victory today, but we'll see. I'll keep practicing, working hard, and see if I can just find that few tenths that I'm missing on some of the absolute fast guys. But some circuits suit me more than others.
Yeah, definitely. And before we let you go, Neil, any shout outs you'd like to give?
Well, I've already shouted out the sponsor, but a big shout out to the whole team. We work really, really hard as a whole team. We've got like 15, 16 plus drivers. We all sort of get into Discord and sort of work on setup. So a big shout out to the whole team, and shout out to my driver that was in the race with me today here. So he got 4th, I think, Alex Trainer. So yeah, big shout out to everybody in the team in the MOATF podcast.
Thanks, Neil, and hope
much.
to see you back next week.
Yes, take care, guys. Well done.
A couple more interviews, but we'll make them relatively quick, of course. Cyandra had a really good run out there, recovering to 3rd place. Be honest, Cy, when you were facing the wrong way around, did you think that a podium was possible?
I was more in shock than anything else because of the boathead move I just pulled, honestly. Because, yeah, I mean, doing that to Yakubi was one of the more brain-dead things I've done in my couple years in racing, but I thought I'd have a top 5 in the cards, but I certainly wasn't expecting a podium. But I think with the way my pit stop ended up, I was able to gain some time in traffic while everybody else was still clustered up, and things worked out the way they did.
Yeah, it worked out great for you. We've already talked with the driver about the multi-class racing out there. It was chaotic out there, more chaotic than we usually see it. Were you being particularly passive? It's difficult to be so in the P1s, isn't it? Because you've got to be decisive at the same time.
For the most part, it was very, very good. I would say the quality of the multi-class. Like, obviously, you have to be patient. You can't always get the moves that you want. But for the most part, everybody was pretty predictable, pretty sort of professional about the whole thing, essentially. And there was only 1 or 2 places where I think people made mistakes, and I don't think they were on purpose. It was just multi-class being multi-class, and I think the people who did well came out on top.
Yeah, definitely, and it's so competitive in that P1 field. Just looking at the standings, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th were separated by under 10 seconds. It really does seem as though drivers are getting the most out of the car now. That there's not those big gulfs that I think we saw initially with this P1 car.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of the sort of setup tricks and stuff are widely known at this point. So I think everybody has their hands on a good setup here and there, and especially at the top of the field where it's only a couple tenths between people, as you said. So it's only going to get smaller at this rate while people get better driving the car.
Yeah, we certainly hope to see that. And well, before we let you go, Sai, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Well, first I want to make 2 apologies. One to Dominic, who I kind of punted a little bit. I won't say that was 100% my fault, but at the same time, he did come off first, so I will apologize for that. And the second to Ismail. Although he didn't come off first in that case, that was still a boneheaded move from me. So sorry about that, you guys.
Honestly, I thought it was kind of a racing incident, but good for you to take the responsibility there. Thanks, Sai, and hope to see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Last interview, Josh Thompson. And Josh, good recovery in the end. You started last, had to pull up a lot of overtakes. Just explain why you weren't starting your usual high lead position.
PC crashed on the first lap. By the time I got back in the session, I just missed a checker flag. As I was coming out the last corner, checker flag dropped. The automatic kicks you off, and the lap would have probably put me P in the grid, which didn't really help the cause.
So I guess after that it was just iRacing recovery, I guess. We're just seeing you race out there. A couple of close moments with some GTEs, but did you find it difficult to make your way through the field? Was it, were drivers putting up much resistance?
Yeah, I got a good start. I think I got like 4 or 5 places in the first lap, which is perfect. I knew I had the pace to be up where Ross was, because I was about the same pace as him in practice, going off that. So I knew I had the pace in the car. Then I don't know what it was. There's like I don't know if it was 2 teammates. I don't know. They all look the same. Made it 3 wide into the hairpin. I was on the outside and got spun off and hit. So I picked up 1 minute 10 optional repairs on top of the recovery drive. So the car was slow in a straight line with aero damage. So to come back through to 8th was a miracle. But I still had the pace in the car to only finish. I think it was only like 16, 15 seconds off the lead with a full spin damage. I can't really say it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was a really good effort. And yeah, of course, having to overtake all those cars as well, really holding you back. Next week is Road America. You've got experience around there. You didn't do too shabby the other day, picking up a race win in the World GT Championship. I guess that's going to put you in a good position for next week then.
Yeah, it should do. Hopefully, I can hopefully I can fix my PC. I've been having a lot of issues with it recently. It did it in Pro Q and it's done it now, so I need to get on top of that because it's really costly. With it being so tight, like today I think I've got bailed out with the iRating loss because it was quite a high SOF with the front guys. So I got bailed out of that, but if it's a lower SOF and that happens, I'm going to lose more and I can't afford to. So hopefully I can get on top of that and should be back at the front next week.
Yeah, definitely. We fully expect to be back up there. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, you guys broadcasted the series, and I saw that you're trying to keep it going, so that's good to hear. Everyone at Mavano, like, without those guys, I wouldn't be anywhere, so massive thanks to those guys. Cranfield Simulation for being a good partner. Premium UK as well.
BSR Radical tomorrow?
Yeah, sadly.
See you out there.
See you later.
So that pretty much wraps us off for tonight. Of course, as we were saying earlier on, we should be broadcasting this series next week. But it may not be me and Tyler and Sam as well. It might just be Mark above near, or maybe it'll be a couple of us, but we're not quite sure. But of course, World FD will start next week, and that should be very fun. So even if you're only interested in ILMS, certainly do check out the World FD. Anyone who's seen the World GT will know it's a very well-run league, and so certainly do check that out, give it a chance. And of course, tomorrow, like I said before, we've got BSR Radical, always chaotic racing in that. And on Saturday, we've got the Euro V8 Supercar Series. That's round 2, coming from Scuba, will be the Super Spins. On Sunday, we've got the iRacing Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship, and of course then on Monday as well we've got the World GT Championship. And also remember to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and like our Facebook page as well. We've got plenty of extra content on that. So from me, from Tyler, and from Sam as well, we'll say goodbye, and we will see you next time.